So if you're studying for your CCNP Security Core, aka your CCIE written for security, what are some of the resources that you can use that are out there to kind of help you get familiar with the concepts, the blueprint, and just really, make you feel a little bit assured that you have what it takes to pass? Well, that's what we're actually going to discuss in today's video. And big shout out to BrecktheMan for asking this question. And that's really why I'm making this video today. But it all starts with understanding what's going to be on the test. And we can see, let's go ahead and go here. That's the exam topics, aka the Cisco blueprint. And for the 350-701, we can see I've gone ahead and expanded, each of these sections. I can collapse them if need be to get an easier view, but really knowing kind of what this is, taking a true assessment of yourself, whether you've already started studying or before, to kind of at least get a more than 50%. I like doing that lean one way or the other. Are you more comfortable understanding it than not? And so we can see here, bring your own device type of things, like not commands, but what type of even concepts or appliances would that, relate to? Is that Cisco ICE, those configurations? If we talk here about COA, change of authorization, port 1700, is that UDP or TCP? What else do we have here? Telemetry, which we know we're going to have a lot of, sensor data going across the networks, flows, logs, and those kind of things. Umbrella, does that relate to, DNS, keywords that we can even match concepts there? I'm sure there's Cisco ICE in here. Mac authentication bypass. What's the difference between probes or posturing versus profile? Like if we have a device that's just not capable or compatible with 802.1x, then we know we need to leverage MAB profiling. If it's something that we can get the security stances, antivirus install, etc., that's going to be where we do that posture. So, I mean, just these type of things, if we throw out, can you just have a 2-minute conversation on any of these concepts? You pick. And then I'm not going to say you're 100% ready, but you do need to get a level of comfortability with that, I would say. Again, not if you just started and you're looking at all of these and kind of having it, but you just saw me just really look at words here on the screen and just start talking without going into. But I truthfully think, having just passed this just a few days ago, that this is what was on my exam. I don't know about when you sit or out there and take it, what questions you'll get. Um, but I think it's a pretty good gauge of the concepts, the topics, etc. Of course, not going to be able to go into detail about um, the specifics, the number of drag and drops, any configuration needed, multiple choice, that kind of a thing. But this is where number one, I would definitely start with, is kind of just grounding myself with knowing of these things. And that takes me to, I have to look down, let me scroll up. And that's the official cert guide, or the book as I call it. It's just Kindle, whatever flavor you get to reading it. I mean, I would definitely suggest always starting with, just the official Cisco Press book if you can. I know these things start adding costs, start incurring fees and things like that. But for this exam, again, I think as a supplementary or complementary type of resource, it does a good job at addressing or speaking to, even if some of them are going to be at a high level of macro concept of the terminology, or like I said, the concept of something, not all the way in depth from a config level. I don't think this is that kind of an exam. Again, I could be wrong with when you sit forward. But that's the thing about not knowing what the test will look like. But that's again where they have, if we go back, let's say here, this is where we'll see 2023. Like I said, I studied for this for a while, off and on for years. So my training is a little bit different. But this one, sometimes Cisco will come out with some free on their, Cisco Learning Network. That name has changed over the years as well. But I definitely suggest taking advantage of any of those things, even if it doesn't seem like it'll apply. If I were to expand some of these and you get it, like this, of course, isn't for that exam, but whether they speak to DNS umbrella, there's certain components where even within some of the free offerings that secure network analytics, it's going to help out. Um, the more you see, the more you know. I mean, the more it stays the same. But the Cisco U learning path and kind of seeing what's offered there. And of course, if you're ready to do that practice exam, like I said, I know that's inflating the cost, the price. But if you just really don't, if you're just unsure, I know Boson exams, a lot of folks suggest that. Cisco, of course, offers a discount if you purchase your voucher. This one, of course, as you can see up top, is going to cost you $400 to sit for this attempt. Um, and then, of course, I&E since 2015-ish. I mean, from Brian, I mean, way back then, I've been a subscriber, and I know everyone, like I said, it's more money. But this is just searching for that term here. Peter. Sorry if I pronounced the name wrong. Apologies there. But 22 hours. I definitely didn't look for all of these tracks. And as they change along time, you'll see a V1.1. There's probably going to be a V1.2. These start to merge, but the concepts, even if you don't want to look at the entire path or chain, just the true, I won't say tests, but to me, it's looking again and referencing this blueprint. And when you're some way along your path, being honest with yourself, not physically looking in the mirror, but what are your weak points? And that's where going old school and taking notes. I like writing with pen and paper, not just, I mean, I do notepad if you've been with me for a while on a computer, but just pen and paper and taking notes on, X for bad, a check for good, or some people put columns. Are you advanced? Do you know it a little? Do you know it a lot? Are you in the middle? Whatever your method to your madness is. But being honest and saying, out of these like private VLANs, which one of these do you like not knowing? And then I guess a number three, I don't need to open a tab for Google, Gemini, Perplexity, Chat GPT, whatever you want to use. um, Leveraging some kind of a game plan to let them know that, and tell them to, explain it to you. I mean, some people think it's beneath them, like a 10th grader or whatever, a high schooler, a freshman in college. Make a game plan for these topics, etc. Let's spend 10 minutes a day. Feed me this, test me on, like, however you word that. I think not shying away from those things, um, those whatever tool you use is kind of a good thing as well. So, um, and then, whether you use Reddit, blogs, someone else's notes, whatever's public, these are just, I think, when you're at that last 20% and you need to supplement it with those 3, 4, 1, 10, whatever weak areas you have to focus and dial in a little bit deeper. That's where those things come into play. So an amalgamation of all of those things that I just said, I know I didn't say what number 1, 2, and 3 were, but if I had to think and recap, I'd say number one is, again, understanding these exam topics that come directly from the blueprint. That's always your compass that's pointing you at hopefully true north, because that's what's going to be on the exam. And number two, like I would say, is the Cisco Press, the book itself, whether it's digital or physical. I think for this exam, the two of those will get you 70+% of the way there, and probably more, because of how, I don't think it's the most technical exam, if I have to say, amongst all the exams that I've ever taken. If you've ever taken the old school CCNP troubleshooting, we just don't get tests like that anymore. Here, the new CCNA will go towards that, where you have to configure it. So that should ease off some of that when you start seeing like 2 or 3 pages of just configs. I'm not saying you won't need to know, maybe a few. Maybe you'll get a few questions on finish this or fill in the blank or drag and drop a few of these commands. Not sure, but I'm sure the crux of your exam probably won't be that, like the old CCNP troubleshooting. And then number three, being honest with yourself and understanding where your shortcomings are. What are those X number of areas, topics, concepts, technologies, whatever you want to call it, and finding a video playlist or something, a Reddit, leveraging, like I said, whatever your AI tool of choice is to help you build some type of learning module or every day, every morning, every night, type of 10-minute sit down to just drill that down. And if you need a practice test or exam like that, just I always suggest whatever vendor, if you're taking a Palo Alto test, use their official one. If you're taking AWS, use theirs. So like I said, I know the further we go, the more money it is. So I'm just really answering the total of kind of what resources I think are there for your choosing of yours to select. So again, appreciate BrecktheMan for bringing us this video today, this concept. And I hope you enjoyed it. Would love to hear down in the chat if any of this made sense, if there's any more that we need to delve or dive in. But I think the KISS, keep it simple, fill in the blank for the last S, is it works for this or applies to this as well. We shouldn't beat ourselves up too much. And like I said, I know some folks get nervous with exams, tests, etc. So I'm not trying to, dissuade anyone from there, but I think you've got it. I mean, if you're out there, you're doing what you need to do. And unfortunately, if you give it a go and you don't pass, I know it's a lot of money. Um, just like the CCIE, there is no substitute for taking that, sitting for that lab, butts to seat that first time. I don't care who you are or what you've heard. There is no substitute. Even though they got this practice test now, it is not a substitute for that time crunch, et cetera, et cetera. But I am diverting, whatever phrase I'm talking about now. So I just want to thank each and every one of you out there again for always rocking here with me. Thank you so much. And wherever you are in your journey, your path, just keep going one day at a time, one question at a time, and you'll get there sooner rather than later, I'm pretty sure. But just keep learning, to be quite honest, and keep pushing yourself, and you've got this. So until next time, stay safe, take care of yourselves. Peace.